Thank you for joining us. And for those listening after the fact, I'm going to run through a brief summary of the Divi project and what we are and what we're about. And the project itself was started in 2017, and the blockchain has been up and running successfully, continuously since September of 2018. And the goal of the Divi project is to make crypto easy and accessible for everyone, everywhere. We've got the Divi wallet, both mobile and a desktop version, which I will leave it at that. And then a self-custodial, well, both wallets are self-custodial, and Divi DeFi is churning along as well. So with that, I think I can turn it over to, I'm not sure if Rob or Voice was going to be
Actually,
going
Voice, the stuff
first.
Voice is going to talk about is probably leads in. You've led him better to that than the DAO stuff I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, I think that's probably when we talk about the ecosystem for Divi, there's two, right? It's one big highway, which the coin runs upon, but there's two tools, two vehicles to manage your funds. One is the legacy. That's the title I give it, the legacy desktop, which was the minimum viable product that some of the features migrated to mobile wallet, right? So then we have mobile Mochi on there where we had desktop using Mochi. Well, for those of you who don't know, some of you do, we are updating the desktop, and the desktop will be inheriting some of the features and functionality of the mobile wallet, and will also be the fertile soil at which new technology, new features, and new functions will come into that will then migrate back to the mobile wallet. They are two separate things. The desktop is the core of the blockchain, meaning that it is the blockchain, where a mobile wallet, whether it's Divi wallet or Trust wallet or Exodus wallet or whatever wallet you want to put in there, those are tools to access information and manage your funds, sign transactions, and those kinds of things. It's a very different world. So for those of you who are desktop users, I'm a fan of desktop. I take my hat off to you because you guys support the blockchain, especially when you're running your nodes, your validator nodes, mining the blocks and those kind of things. So some great things are coming down the pipe. We're moving into alpha. And vaults on desktop are coming soon. It's being tested right now, actually, with our team. And that's where we're going to see the super, super easy migration, which will graduate your desktops to the masternodes themselves will migrate to the validator node status. And for that matter, masternodes have played a pivotal role in our journey to get us here. But to the next level, we're going to be activating the validator vault. I think, Rob, that's what you called the vault itself. And they will not replace masternodes per se. They will actually become something more than what masternodes are, while fulfilling some of the same features and functionalities that have given us the ability to grow as we are. And the process that is being activated is purely part of core, meaning that it's been present since day one. We're just fully embracing this, the proof of work for the history and the finality, which will give us the stability for all the features and functionality that we've been talking about for much time now, and have now come to finality or moving towards that state. So it's just going to be fantastic. Other things that we can talk about, obviously, there was a tweet that came out about that Nick sent out. He was talking about the DeFi and how they're working on Polygon integration. I'm seeing that happen. I'm not necessarily involved in that, but I can see it. The contracts are all there. They're working on the demo for the gasless features. That would be for the DeFi portal. And that's being worked on. I don't know if you've seen the tweet or not. And then he's also working on, in his tweet, he mentioned how he's working with the market maker with KuCoin for opening up the U.S. markets. So that's being worked on right now. I see most of that, and yeah, there's a lot of work going on. There's a lot of work going
I
on.
can certainly comment on some of this also because I'm actually in some of the meetings. Like the first part of that tweet, he talks about the meetings with the Emirati partners, and yeah, so I'm actually in those meetings, and I can tell you this is a daily kind of thumping of work happening and improving what we're going to be offering there, and navigating like a number of kind of governmental and regulatory landscapes, and I mean it in plural, and to get all of this work and not just that, the various partners that we're working with, their personal kind of relationships with their vendors and their customers, navigating that to smooth all that over. There's actually quite a bit of chaos, maybe is the right word there, that can be solved with smart kind of combination of Web3 and front end kind of interfaces that can solve a ton of problems that are over there. And not only over there, it's just that's where our partners are. And so that's the cool part. It's like if we can do this there, and all that work that they're doing right now there, it totally will allow us to expand in other places because it's super complicated. But it's amazing every day that they're working on that. And that's so I wanted to kind of put some context to that first part of that tweet. It is, and again, like you said, you can't really delineate that stuff out to people, and you certainly can't say exactly what we're doing. So it makes it really difficult. I like his little synopsis there. Right? I think it's the best we can deliver in terms of information about it.
What's a Majili?
I do not know.
He said that in the tweet.
Yep.
You don't know.
I have no idea what that is.
So
and I saw you got a lot of responses, so people do know what that is. It's just I don't.
People do.
Yeah.
I saw his tweet. I hadn't gone back to read it because I was like, "What the heck is that?" I had to look that.
If somebody knows who's listening now, please tell us. Raise your hand. Let us know what he's talking about.
Oh goodness. And there's talk about soccer and rugby. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know much about that. Yeah.
I'm trying to see if there's anything else in there we want to. There is definitely a ton of work happening there, and all I can do is use my rapport I've had built up with whatever rapport I've built up with the community over the last few years, and just tell you honestly, this is what I'm seeing. I just cannot give you the details. That's all.
Yeah.
The other thing that.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say Turbo. Maybe he knows what that magic term means.
Go Turbo.
It just means meeting. I think it's like a
meeting.
Yeah, but it's like a special formal operation. Not just like meeting in between. At the water cooler. It's like an elaborate meeting of the minds, and everyone's getting down and making stuff happen, kind of thing.
So you mean like a brainstorming session, or just where elite people are meeting together?
Or is it like the Jedi Council where everybody's standing around and he's got
a cooperative meeting geared toward like making magic happen and building, and allies coming together and spending long hours dreaming up master plans for the upcoming
that sounds good
period of time, kind of thing.
Turtle, is this the first time we're hearing your real voice?
I don't know. Is this my real voice?
I don't know. I have no idea.
No, he's using a modulator on that. I can tell. It's not his real voice. The other thing that Nick obviously didn't mention, he's not really working on that, but random string is, and the beta bashers are. And for those of you who don't know, there is a distinction. Beta bashers are originally purely a voluntary group of community members who early on came together to support the core developer team and the desktop team. They are, I'm part of that team. I'm one of the original founders of that team. That's not bragging. That just means that it's a pleasure to be part of it. And if you've ever been part of it, you do crazy, dangerous things. You're trying to both break and push the core to its limits, right? You see other blockchains stressing speed and before things collapse and sending and spending. We do the same thing on this team, and Random String does help us with that, and we have special apps for that. And you probably saw some of my tweets about it. We spend many hours testing all the new features and functionality, and some of the things that we're testing have to do with vaults, right? Vaults are something, and the vaults themselves, as they are on desktop, there's optimization of the vaults, and that's coming to core. There's optimization on withdrawing from vaults, right? That's coming to core. We're testing all of that. And because desktops can deploy multiple vaults, and because of the sovereignty, there's a new feature that's built into so people can run multiple vaults at the same time, withdraw from vaults individually without affecting other vaults. Remember, you're the bank if you're the desktop. If you're a desktop coin owner and you're managing your funds there, you own all the funds. And so since spendability needs to be available in vaults, of course, if you don't have certain features and functions, and if you withdraw, you could withdraw from all your vaults. That doesn't happen. We're testing all of those features. It's really fantastic. So some of those things will help us with the future options, right, Rob? You talked about it, like
Yep.
the side chains and subscriptions. This brings in this grand stability. So, I think somebody saw a couple of weeks ago. I sent 2,000 sends, 2,000 transactions in like 0.0 something seconds. It was
Cool.
really
Oh, that's
amazing.
right.
So that was just fun. So
that's nice.
it was
There's a lot of
many
cool,
millions of Divi.
There's a lot of cool features that are now part of each node that I was doing manually in Python. And
yes,
the nodes are written in C. It's way faster. It's way better. So there's a lot of new stuff that happens at that level, which is pretty cool. I used to be, I guess I'm technically still part of Beta Bashers, but I don't really do
we
it
adopted
anymore.
you.
Yeah, I don't
We
really do it
adopted
anymore,
you.
but it
Yeah,
was
we
fun. And I
adopted
did
you.
listen to your last session. It was enjoyable to see the group effort there. It was really kind of fun.
Yep.
I do admit that the side chains are the thing that has me the most excited about our future. One of the reasons we're getting rid of the masternodes is to make our blockchain more stable, everything better about it, and enabling things like side chains. And side chains are what enable like an EVM coming to Divi, or a better swap, or better liquidity pools that are not reliant on other chains. There's a whole bunch of stuff that comes from that I'm super excited about. But one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the key thing. I mean, when you think about side chains, we think about we joked at the beginning of the call about NFTs and meme coins, right? Those are just fun things. People get enjoyment out of those things. Sometimes even if they lose money on them, because they do, and sometimes when they make money, they're smiling much wider, right?
Yeah.
But they enjoy sometimes the goofiness, and side chains make those kinds of things possible even on Divi. And Divi is still the parent chain. But really what we would want to see is both. You can have fun. You can do things. You can create your own chains. You can have other validator nodes participate in those chains. You can create your own NFTs that other people can participate on that chain. Of course, Divi is still the main chain. It is not like Ethereum. It is something much more robust in our opinion. It is pretty fantastic with the side chains. It's mind blowing. It's probably more like it. And
I can't wait to get to it.
when we talk about, I think there's so much confusion of masternodes, and a lot of people are using the term killing or they're going away, and they're really, the nodes themselves are migrating. Technically, yes, you are right. Master nodes won't be acting the way that they are. It comes down to what we all like to throw around as the term immutable. Immutable, right? Some people make the mistake and say that a Bitcoin is immediately immutable or Divi is immediately immutable. That's not true. Immutability comes with time. Immutability comes with the work and the hashing power. Things can change in a short time frame, but in Bitcoin, after 6 confirmations, which is roughly an hour worth of work in it, you can consider it reasonably immutable, right? So you could sell your house and wait an hour for the confirmations, and you're fine. Divi is exactly the same way. Masternodes are passive, all right? So that's a term I'm going to use. It's very, very different than what would be proof of work. Masternodes are passive revalidators, and we don't have time on this chat to go into that. Validator vaults are, with a capital letter all the way across, active validators. So what's happening is that we're going to take masternodes, which were archival anchored peers. So when you start up your desktop wallet, who do you sync to? Well, you sync mainly to masternodes. That provides the network, those anchoring in the network. And then masternodes provided a passive revalidation after the validators, that would be the desktops or the other nodes, would be mining blocks, right? That's the key thing. And unfortunately, masternodes were prioritized a little higher than what should be, and that can create a state of finality problem. And that's when you see things like forks occur and those kinds of things. Where Bitcoin, you don't see that issue because it relies strongly on proof of work, right? We're a hybrid proof of work, proof of stake process. So essentially what we're doing is it's more a reformation and a move forward. It's a purification of the philosophy, which brings a better blockchain state of finality, right? That's where we get immutability. And so when you have side chains and you have things like smart contracts and you have things like subscriptions or other things that are types of smart contracts like RGB and things like that, which are all possibilities. If you have a finality issue, a state of immutability issue, those things become unstable. And so masternodes are basically, they're growing up. They're graduating from being preteens, and they're having to get a job, and that job is just putting them to work. And then the other options come into voluntary participation to participate in new features, which will continue to drive progress and utility, along with ensuring that the Divi open blockchain remains robust and resilient. And so that's the reason. It's not staying static where we're sort of locked into the ecosystem. This actually brings us to a point where we're actually able to fulfill and adapt and prevent things from impeding the potential success and the potential offerings that we're trying to and have always been trying to put into place, which are driven by the philosophy, which is crypto made easy, right? I think that's what it is. So, sorry, I was preaching for a moment.
You were. So, any questions on the current work happening?
NFT solutions.
Yeah, I had a question, Boyce, about the core and what y'all are doing. So,
yeah,
this might be kind of a rough analogy, but I know with like Apple, they build SDKs for some of their platforms. Like if you want to create a smart option for a home, you know, a light bulb or something, they have like a home kit SDK that you can just build on top of, and it makes it a lot easier for developers to build. Is that essentially what you guys are doing with the core, is just making it so much easier and all the back end work is done for the developers, so it's so many more people are going to be able to come on and build things that don't have such a vast grasp of, how to code and how to write smart contracts?
Well, I mean, with blockchain, nothing is just easy, right? I think that's the thing. So even, I mean, obviously, if you're writing a Solidity contract, we know that people can do that by using ChatGPT today, right? I mean, obviously, we've seen tokens come out, for very minimal amount of funds in a Fiverr, but payment for a website, and all of a sudden you have a coin. So Solidity, if you just go into it and you start coding, it's not easy for a person who's never coded before. The core, whether it's Bitcoin or whether it's Litecoin or whether it's Divi or Dash or whatever you want to put in there, that's a UTXO kind of blockchain. There is a lot of information that's out there. Anything pretty much Bitcoin. Actually, Turbo can talk about this. He and I were speaking about it just recently. But anything Bitcoin-wise, I would say 99% works on Divi. But the other features and functionality, these advanced things we're talking about, the answer is yes. We want to make it easy, not just for developers, but we want to make it easy through the voluntary use of the desktop, and make those features and functions come into the desktop. And so some features will be more than a click. But it would be great if you could click and participate and create. And those are all part of what Random String is doing to Core. What we're doing to Core affects everyone. It affects everything. So it isn't really an SDK. The Core, I would say, is everything. The blockchain is the core. And so anything you want to do with the core has to be built into the core for everyone. Now, where your example probably would be more applicable would be in side chains, right? Where you can build out special kits to do special things, and that can happen on the side chain. And the answer is yes, yes, and yes. So everything that we want to do and have been wanting to do is coming to fruition. It is progressive, and I mean that it's like stair steps. There has to be a layer put on to the core. There has to be a change to the core. There will be, everybody can hear it, there will be hard forks to the core as we add these changes and add these upgrades. And these are good kind of forks because they're upgrades. And it has to be built into it. And so the answer is yes. And if you want to ever participate with me and do those kinds of things and make those, make the tutorials or make the information available for developers, that's been on my list of tasks because I desire that. As you know, Rob built tools he gave away to the community many years ago, which is why he was invited into the beta bashers. Rob did that as a community member. Most of you know I built TipBot. Those are the things. It was a pain in the beginning, right, Rob? And we can say that it was a pain to try to figure this stuff out because we didn't have it. But all of those things are coming to be. So building out for the developers is a high priority.
A lot of the features I put into DaVinci are now in the core, which I really like.
That is true. That is true.
And so I think you might have been asking a little bit different.
Sorry,
because that's okay. I think because I really like when platforms and different things have SDKs. I really like playing with them. And so the core itself is not necessarily an SDK. Random String's been putting in stuff that we tend to be doing a lot into the core, whether we even ask for it. Sometimes it just shows up and he's like, yeah, I put that in 3 months ago. And we're like, great. But an SDK is something separate that helps you develop using our core. He also told me he's developing an SDK with the idea that when you create a wallet, per se, as an example, you need the core, but there's a certain number of things you also need to have your wallet function with that core. And he's providing those things. That's the way I understood he was talking about for an SDK. So I think as a separate thing, he's also working on that. Am I wrong? That was to you.
Well, that was me. Just making sure. Well, so from an SDK standpoint, I think that's coming afterwards. He's entirely focused on the core. But our goal, of course, when you talk about an SDK, a software developer kit, access to things like endpoints and features and functionality. Yeah, all of that is possible. I would have to talk to him, just so I'm
Okay. It was a
honest
conversation we
about
had
that.
in one of our channels a little while
Yeah,
ago because I was
yeah.
trying to figure out what was it. He said SDK. I'm like, well, what's in that?
Well, exactly.
Yeah. All right, we're at half an hour. You want to just let me do my DAO blurbs, or are we good? Any other questions? Nope. Okay. I didn't mean to cut you off, voice. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'll suck the air out of the room.
All right, thanks. All right, so back on the DAO. So the DAO, as you know, we are trying to build one for the foundation. The end goal is that the DAO controls the foundation. There's a lot of steps between here and there, but this will be, and it's building up to be the number one way the community can be integrated and really participate in what the foundation does, where Divi goes, the blockchain itself goes. And also to help fund and propose and fund different projects that may work on the blockchain, or help it in all of its manners. It's all about the blockchain itself, the coin, and all the blockchain related projects out there. So I can't stress more. Get involved with the DAO. This is growing and growing, and we are still working on the governance model. Slowly. I too want to just release the beast and just let you guys, let it govern. First, it will govern itself, and then in time, it will be taking treasury funds, and then in time, it will fully control the DAO. We have not yet worked out internally how those milestones yet. Right now, there's 3 votes up. Again, they're not even up yet, so you can still become part of the DAO, and you can read the first. The first post in the Divi DAO section in Discord on how to do that. It's relatively easy, but I have not put the vote up yet because we're still discussing it. We're getting away from really kind of like cut and dry things, and right now we're talking about whether we should implement a quorum. What's the quorum look like? And so, if one person votes and he votes yes, is it a yes? So there's a discussion about that. I have a kind of a proposal up on my last post there on what we should be voting on. Really need some input on that, what you like and what you don't like. Same for a proposal rate. Should one person be able to spam 1,000 proposals, or should there be some sort of cost or rate or rating associated with it? And then there's the cost itself of proposing NFTs. And I'm just noticing I spelled that wrong, but whatever. So the cost of voting NFTs and the cost of proposing NFTs. So there's really 4 up right now. So jump on in to the Discord, discuss them. And I was hoping to put it up today, but I think it looks like the discussion still really needs to be ironed out some more on all 4 of those. So maybe by Sunday, I'll put all 4 up for an actual vote. Join in and be part of it. This is the way the community can really get their fingers in on what Divi will be doing in the future, or the foundation will be doing in the future. So this is your path. Okay, that's my blurb on that. Does anybody want to talk about anything?
This is the way.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions? Right. That's
I was going to say. Does anybody from the crowd have anything they wanted to address or share? Or
even if you don't want to voice it, just post it in the questions there. That would be awesome. Not everyone likes to speak like I do.
Well, I think if no one has any additional questions, we'll
call it a day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Closing thoughts.
Right.
Oh, we do have a question. We have a speaker.
Fantastic. Speaker speak. Hello.
Hey, you're right. Yeah, I had a question. I was wondering, what's the difference between a DAO and a Web3 community. Hello.
No, I didn't hear that last bit.
What'd you say? Go ahead, Rob. I think you'll answer that one, Rob.
I will. I just didn't hear the last bit. Is it just for me, or do you cut off for everyone?
I think he was just wanting to know what the DAO difference between a DAO and a Web3 community would be, although I think it can be the same thing.
They can be the same thing. And in fact, I've seen people, differentiate between a DAO and a DAC, which is Decentralized Autonomous Community. So they're out there. There are definitely technical, or I don't know if it's even technical, but there is definitely some sort of differentiation or perceived differentiation between the two. So I don't think the key is that the governance is code based and not kind of like political based, right? And so like the easiest form. I'm going to conflate a DAO and a DAC, and I think you're asking about a DAC because the difference between maybe in goals. I just know we just need an organization that runs the foundation. That's basically what we're needing. But both of them are decentralized in terms of the way the governance model is created, instead of having a leader or a group of leaders. And the DAO can actually organize itself that way also. But the key is that it is autonomous. There's not some dude at Divi Foundation saying this is what we're doing. Right now, exactly. We're actually in that condition. And we're trying to get out of it. In terms of Divi Labs, Divi Foundation, is there's certain people who are paid by them, and they are being and they are trying to produce the blockchain that we have. But the actual guidance needs to come from an organization, and that's really what this is.
Comes from the community, right? I think that's the key thing.
Yeah.
Can I give a synopsis?
Well,
decentralized autonomous community we may voluntarily decide we want to be part of, but it doesn't always include action and activeness. A DAO, the reason why Rob keeps asking about the DAO and the reason why there's messaging about a DAO is because DAOs require work, right? So as a community and we decide to come together, it is good that everyone has a say, right? And it is politics, right? Even though you say it's separate, but it is politics. Everyone needs to be encouraged to vote. That happens in every country where they have voting. They have to encourage people to get out to vote. We have to encourage people to get out to DAO. And this is a problem not just in crypto. It's a problem around the world with just getting people to say yes or no, or provide an idea. We would like to see our community be super proactive in that. But it is an 80-20 rule, right? So if in some cases less, 80% of the people just go along with what 20% of the people say, and that's the way the DAO will be if you let it be that way. So get involved in the DAO, vote in the DAO, propose things in the DAO. It's currently on Ethereum, and then it will eventually be migrating, of course, when we have our chain upgrade and everything to as I call it, the Divi Dragon Core. Random string will kill me because that's what I'm imaging. But once we get there, then the DAO will be there. But a DAC, we can be part of. A DAO, you're encouraged to become active in. And it doesn't mean you have to do much. It's click, it's sign, it's vote, and you're on your way. If you want to be proactive and propose things, you're welcome to do that too. You're welcome to do that too.
So just to be clear, right now the proposals are happening in our like for the first bunch. I was just putting up the proposals to get the basic stuff done. Now what we're doing in Discord is discussing where we want to go. We're still not in a place. Again, it's not run as a DAO right now. We're not in a place where the governance model is in place. Where anybody can just go propose. We need the NFTs in place. We need all that kind of stuff in place. And so that's what we're doing. When we get to that point, then anybody will be able to do anything, hopefully sooner than later. But I think you hit it on the head. I think, I was trying to delineate that. I was trying to say, like, this is the way the community gets involved. This is the train to be on. So hopefully more people will get on there. You can see from our voting numbers, it's been dropping off since the first one. I hope we can turn that around.
It's like the real world, right?
Yeah. And
Just
get,
like
the excitement's in the beginning, and then it becomes more and more like kind of attention space, mind space associated with it. So it's actually work for your brain. So anyway, I hope if you want to help guide where Divi Foundation goes, you get involved here. This is we're starting it up, and hopefully we'll get through all of these votes in a couple of weeks, and we can start building this thing. And somebody's going to have to volunteer to help build this thing, and then we can fire away. And in fact, you mentioned it's on Ethereum. It is, because that's where Snapshot is, the thing we're using for voting.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody, I think it was Heather, brought up that once we actually get to using, like, having a functional DAO, we may, and before sidechains show up, we may want to decide to move to Polygon. Same stuff but cheaper, and plus we have presence on Polygon. So that's one thing we can discuss probably after this vote.
Just to interject real quick, one of the important features of the DAO is that there's an on-chain record of the decision making and the governance process. I don't think that was explicitly said, even though it was implied. But that whole record, the on-chain record of the community participation and the decisions being proposed and made, is a super important feature of the DAO, which a Web3 community doesn't necessarily accomplish on its own. So I just wanted to throw that.
True.
Correct.
True. Thank you. All right.
Everyone's important.
I don't have anything else for today.
Anybody, any last questions or thoughts?
Who was that big buyer?
No idea.
No, I have no idea. If you watch the blockchain, there's lots of movement going on right now. I have no idea. It's I don't want to belabor this, but if somebody's buying, somebody's selling. If somebody's selling, somebody's buying. Who's doing it? You are. Is somebody buying? Yes. Is somebody selling? Yes. It's the community. I don't know.
Yeah, but what he means is somebody's willing to buy at higher prices than we've been at. That's what he means,
That could be true.
Yes, there's a seller for every buyer, but that's not what he's talking about.
Yeah, we just had a ton of buys all in a row. And, it could have been multiple people, but, candles like that don't come from, buyers and sellers showing up at the same time,
Yeah.
No, it's somebody going in and making a decision, obviously.
Yeah. Honestly, if I knew who it was, I still wouldn't tell you. But I actually don't know who it is.
I'm pretty sure it was the voice.
I've got my
guys,
fair share today.
gals,
All right.
Thank you for your day and your time. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank everybody for joining us, and thanks everybody who shared the updates. And we will catch up with you next time.